All right, everybody, welcome to episode 33 of the Comedically Hardheaded podcast. Now, where we left off. We have been in the middle of a teen leadership career week held at the basement location. This was an event that was in partnership with a nearby nonprofit, and so we have all of these kids that are from various places around the world. We have some of the basement location kids, some of my teenagers, but then we also have teenagers that are from different countries like Ethiopia, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, and I want to say Pakistan. And so we have all of these teenagers who have just eaten lunch, and we're trying to figure out how to get ourselves out of this giant hole that we've fallen into because Daniel has quit. During the middle of the program, he's already taken on a new job at another location at a different center, right? And he took TT with him. If you remember, TT also worked at the basement location. So now there's myself, there's Ava, and there's Mr. John. And we are the only three left with like 60 plus kids. Boss lady was so hot about Daniel leaving, she got in her Toyota and drove off. We don't know where she's going to, but at that point in time, my guess was she was on the way to that center to go and snatch up Daniel and TT and bring them back. But who knows? So now I've been tasked with somehow finishing this program. And mind you, I had already completed my program. You know, everybody on the team had already taken up a different task and had different programs and different things that they were going to run. And so now it was Daniel's turn to run his program. He was the main ringleader putting his whole camp together with Boss Lady. So out of nowhere, now it's been dropped on me to somehow entertain 60 teens. Now let me tell you this about teenagers. Working with teenagers is like playing Russian roulette. You really just don't know what kind of group you're gonna get. You know, you pray for a great group that you can really enjoy working with, and you normally get that by working with teens that you already have an established relationship with, a group of teens that you already have rapport with. For me and my specific center, I absolutely loved my teenagers. They were everything to me because they were just so awesome to work with, but they became awesome through the gift of time, through the gift of getting to know each other, understanding what the tics are, understanding people's favorite music, understanding that there has to be a level of trust that is built with these teenagers before they're gonna really open up to you. So when you can break down that wall, it is a wonderful experience. Now you guys have an understanding of each other. You guys can have your inside jokes. You can share your music taste. They know that they can come to you when they're at their worst, right? Because there's an expectation they now have of you in the same way that you have an expectation of them. It's a great time, right? However, when you get that other group, you don't know what you're about to get. It's kind of like being a black person going on a road trip and then you stop at some random diner in some town you've never been to. When you go in that diner, you pray that the music is not gonna stop when you walk in. You know, you walk in, right? And next thing you know, it's, you lost? You know, what you doing here? You know, you pray it's not one of those situations where you done literally walked into a Klan hub and all you wanted was some waffles, right? So you pray that it's not that situation. That's kind of like what it can be like walking into a group of teenagers that you've never worked with before, who are also from these different countries. And again, because these kids are from a lot of different ethnic groups and backgrounds and experiences, a lot of the kids don't even like each other, to be honest. A lot of the teenagers had smoke for each other. They're in different cliques. You know, when they want to start talking trash, they start switching and speaking in their different languages about the other group, and so it's already a very unique environment, right? So teenagers, you never know what you're gonna get. My teens used to always ask me to be a substitute at their high school. They used to beg for me to go and work at their high school, and I used to be like, absolutely not, because as much as I would enjoy working with y'all, I just remember being a teenager, and when we had a substitute for the class, that meant, oh, we are about to cut up, right? So no, I'm good on that. So here we are. We are at the basement location. I got about 60 plus teenagers sitting in a room that's kind of muggy under fluorescent lights, and the basement location used to kind of have this weird smell sometimes, like it just like a smell when you have spaces that have a lot of moisture and not a lot of light, right? So there's that. The teenagers have just eaten, so I know I'm gonna lose about 50% of them because they're gonna be tired. So we definitely cannot just sit and talk or do anything that requires them to pay a lot of attention. We need to do something that's gonna liven it up here, and we got about 3.5 hours to entertain these folks before everybody starts going home. What can we do? Now, I know I'm not going to get much out of Mr. John because he doesn't like to do any work, especially anything physical, okay? John would have been the kid that brought a doctor's note as to why he could not participate in field day at school, okay? He also used to do this thing where if you gave him a task, he would just take a really, really, really long time to do it. That way, you couldn't give him anything else to do. There was this one time, All I needed him to do was sharpen some pencils. Literally, here, can you sharpen these 30 plus pencils, because the kids are about to be here in a second, we gotta do homework. And mind you, now I got the good pencil sharpener at my center, okay? It's that one that you hook to the wall and you know, you wind it up. Like, that's the good sharpener, right? You can feel the pencil being sharpened. I don't like those electric sharpeners, because by the time you finally sharpen the pencil, you have nothing but a nub left, right? And so I'm watching Mr. John struggle to sharpen these pencils, because now he got carpal tunnel. Oh, I can't use my arm. I'm like, God damn, John, what can you do? It was like I turned into my mom when she would get an attitude about the groceries. Like, you know, I'll just do it myself. Y'all gonna miss me when I'm going. Move. Pretty much. So I already knew it's gonna be the me and Ava show. At this point, it's like, let's read the room. We've been at this camp for a few days, and a lot of the programs and the spaces and the places that they've been require them to really just sit and listen. Sit and listen. Sit and listen. Again, these are teenagers. Teenagers get bored quickly. I'm an adult and I get bored. My attention span is short. So I knew that they were bored, and like I said, they had just eaten, so I was like, you know what, Ava, this is what we're gonna do. Let's just have a fun time. And so the good thing is the basement location has this huge grassy field, and they also have this huge empty parking lot. And I'm like, you know what, we're about to set these spaces up and we're gonna do some games and just run and have us a good time, because this is also the time period where you're starting to see that shift in just the way that humans behave in regard to social media, because Instagram is now a thing, Snapchat is now a thing, and I'm literally witnessing kids and teenagers go from being very physically active and wanting to be outside all day to now they want to just stay glued in front of the screen or glued in front of their device, and they don't want to do nothing outside. So you know what, let's break that habit. So we're going outside. I set some cones up. We did dodgeball. We did soccer. I mean, game after game. I really should one day just make a Google Drive and just share the link, because after 11 years, just understand, I am Mr. Games Man and Activities Man. I have made up so many group activities and games that work, because again, I'm somebody with a short attention span. I don't like playing the same thing too often. So, you know, I've made up all kind of activities. So, I mean, we just went down the list. And then we even had a scavenger hunt in the neighborhood. What worked was the teenagers from the basement location were also there, so I was like, okay, we're gonna put everybody into different groups, and let's just make sure we have at least 2 kids from the basement location in each group, since they know the neighborhood. That way they can get out, go around. I mean, it was great, and before you know it, those 3.5 hours went by so fast. The teenagers enjoyed themselves, because again, it was still a very enriching camp, because they got to go to different locations and see the inner workings of different businesses and stuff, and have different guests and stuff come speak to them. But you still need a balance of fun, right? There's nothing more rewarding than learning, but learning also should not feel like a chore, right? It's one of the reasons why I say, as a parent or as a teacher or somebody who works with kids, do not make children read books as punishment, right? Because once you start doing that, then they always will resent reading. They will always resent the idea of trying to learn something new, because now it feels like a chore, right? So again, I was like, we need to have fun. And so they end up having fun. The camp is over, and amen, we made it through. Now, getting back to my center, can I just tell you all, when it came to money, we were down bad. Lord, we didn't ever have no money for nothing. It used to drive me crazy, because it was like you had to be so resourceful and so creative when it came to just making sure that things worked for the center. And a lot of times you were on your own. And so Ava and I became very, very good at becoming frugal and stretching a dollar and making things work. But the difference between Ava and I was, Ava could really take it to the next extreme. There were some moments where I'd be like, you know what, I draw the line. Let me just pull some money out of pocket and pay for this, because I'm not about to just give the kids anything. But she hates when I tell this story. But there was this one time, it was some kind of camp day. It wasn't spring camp, it wasn't winter camp, it wasn't summer camp, but just know that a lot of times, if there were a handful of days where the kids did not have school, the organization would always make us throw a camp and charge the kids to come. That way they can kind of recoup money throughout the year. And so it was some kind of camp we had for like 2 or 3 days. And I just remember this day, I had just made breakfast for all these kids, right? It's maybe like 25 elementary kids. I'm in the kitchen, Ava's in the main room, so I can't see anything, I can only hear. And so all the kids have been given these plates. All the kids got like Eggo waffles. I think they got 2 or 3 Eggos. They got some sausage and they got some eggs, right? And some juice. You know, you put the little powder in the big pitcher and stir it up, and boom, you got enough to pour for everybody. And so the problem was this. We had a bottle of syrup that was only about 1/4 full, right? So just picture what it was, not Aunt Jemima, whatever it's called, no, but what is it? Miller Company syrup, whatever it was. We'll just go to Mrs. Butterworth. All right, so just picture Mrs. Butterworth, the bottle, and you have about 1.5 inches full of syrup at the bottom, because the rest of the top of the bottle is all gone. And so that was all we had. And I remember saying, Ava, you know what, I think I should run to the store and buy some syrup. And she's like, no, we're not buying nothing else, because you keep spending money out of pocket. No, these kids will be just fine. I was like, okay. She's like, I can stretch, watch. Okay. Sure. So I'm washing the dishes. The kids are all eating their food. First kid I hear is Chase. Now remember, Chase is the kid who moves like life is a movie, and he's a Power Ranger, and he's always high on and stuff, right? I hear Chase, these are dry! Like, so he starts complaining because Ava had somehow stretched that little ball of syrup and gave it to all 25 kids. So I don't know what the plates look like because I was in the kitchen, I couldn't see it, but she somehow put syrup on everybody's plate. So Chase, these are dry! And then there was JJ. If you remember, JJ's the kid that took the shrimp out of my hand, and that's the kid whose tooth I knocked out with my elbow on accident playing football. Then JJ starts, I can't taste the syrup! I can't taste the syrup! And then Tiffany jumps in. Tiffany's the one that's all nosy in everybody's business. Man, where's the syrup? I don't have enough! And all the kids are joining in. Will joins in. Remember, Will is the kid that peed in the bottle and gave it to the kindergarten. He already greedy. Goes, I don't know, man. I don't taste enough of the syrup. I need more. So he's going. Clarissa, the little one that always wanted to belong but always had the smart mouth. I don't know what's going on here, but if we're not going to be given enough syrup, how are we supposed to eat these things? And so all of the kids are starting to jump in and just go off about the syrup. And out of nowhere, Ava just loses it. And she's like, y'all need to let it soak. Let it soak! Meanwhile, I'm in the kitchen just dying, right? And Ava used to get so mad because sometimes when she would start fussing at the kids, I would always just bust out laughing because Ava sometimes could not keep her composure, and it would be so funny when she would lose it because I'm like, whoa. And it would just be so funny. So anyway, I'm in the kitchen laughing, and I know the kids can hear me laughing, but they're still pissed about the syrup. And I'm picturing how it looks because, again, the kids all have like 2 or 3 Eggos, and so they're complaining because I guess they don't have enough syrup. And she's like, y'all got all that syrup right there. And I already knew that all that syrup equated to like 4 or 5 squares with some syrup in it. Now, mind you, them Eggo waffles be having like 40 squares on them, but I'm sure about 4 or 5 of the squares got some syrup, and somehow that little bit of syrup is supposed to seep through one waffle and seep into the next one. And so I just know the kids ain't got enough. And I'm in there dying. I'm like, Ava, I can just go to the store. No, they're not going to the store. They will be okay. You spoiled them too much. And so that day was so funny. She hates when I tell that story because I was like, Ava, really? The kids can't get no syrup? We gonna spread this little corner of syrup across 25 kids. And then we gave them 2 waffles at that. It's supposed to seep down to the next one. Oh, God, that day was so funny. It was so bad one time, we had to have the kids split some Pop-Tarts. I remember, this is after we had fallen out with our food vendor, and so we had to figure out how to come up with our own snacks and stuff now because the stupid clipboard lady was doing too much. And so I remember one time, we only had like, I don't know, 5 boxes of Pop-Tarts, but the big boxes, they I think hold 6 packs. And so Ava goes, when I call your name, you will grab a pack. If you have a younger sibling, you will open the pack and give them one of the Pop-Tarts and you keep the other. Remember, this is snack, not a meal. I was like, okay, we're gonna have to do something about this money because we are down bad. And then little Pee-wee. Now, if you remember, little Pee-wee is the kid who used to come to the center when he was too young to come wearing a pull-up and knowing how to cuss, but now he's in kindergarten and he's been driving us crazy all year. And so I remember one time, for some reason, Pee-wee was so quiet this day. Because, mind you, Pee-wee is the life of the party. You know when Pee-wee is in the building because you're always going to hear him, or you're going to hear somebody yelling at him to give back whatever he took, or it's something that he just threw across the room, or somebody that he just hit, or somebody he just spit on, or something that he just kicked over, or something that he just broke, or something that he just destroyed, or a car he just scratched, or some new cuss word he said that I've never ever heard before, or some kid that he just bit, or a game that he will not share, or a bottle of glue that he somehow spilled into the carpet, or a dead bird that he brought inside. Like, it was always something. You know when he's in the building. But for some reason this day, it was so quiet. He was in the lab, and a lot of the kids were in the main room. It was that transitionary period between snack and free time. So some kids were still finishing snacks, some are doing arts and crafts. Ava has a group in the kitchen she's working with. I kind of have a group that's in and out of the teen room doing some stuff. Mr. John was in the lab just making sure the kids weren't killing each other, but there really weren't a lot of kids in the lab. Pee-wee is at his computer, and he is so quiet. I mean, it was unusual. And so I've just left the teen room. We're getting ready to take everybody outside because we're going to do some games outdoors. It's a nice day and everything. And so all of the kids are heading out the door. We keep this big giant sack that has all of our sports equipment, like the balls and the cones and stuff like that, in this closet that's also in the lab. So I remember going in to the lab to get the big giant sack with everything in it and everything. And Pee-wee's the last one in the lab. And so I was like, hey, Pee-wee, you know, you've been doing so good today. You ready to come outside and do whatever? Yeah, okay, sure, I'm coming, right? And so he runs out of the room, like, to go play whatever game. Not running like he's in trouble, but runs out like he's excited to go and play. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I noticed that his computer screen has been turned off. I'm like, why you turn the screen off? Because, it's not the end of the day. And so I go and I look at that computer and turn that screen back on, because he didn't turn the computer off. He just turned off the monitor. When I turn on that screen, first thing I see are pink areolas bouncing up and down in my face. How in the hell was he able to pull this up? Like, how? And here's the thing. Our computer lab was operated by the county. They had, this really huge IT team that oversees all the computer labs in the county that they fund and everything like that. So they have access to everything that we go on, and we have all of these filters and protective things. And we also use this software called Cross-Tech School View. And with this software, you can block certain websites. You can set it up where kids can only go on certain websites. You can turn down a kid's computer. You can freeze a kid's computer. You can shut a kid's computer down, like all from the master computer at my desk. Like if a kid has their music too loud, I can literally type in a message and send it to their computer, and it'll pop up on the screen and say, hey, can you turn your music down a tiny bit? It's a little too loud. If I wanted to do a presentation and share with all of the kids what's on my screen, I could hit like a share button, and now it's on all 15 screens in the lab. And so, we ran a really tight ship with the computer lab, but somehow this kid who's like 5 has somehow been able to get through all of the firewalls and the protections, and he is watching some white women on a boat jump up and down with their boobs out. I'm like, how? Now, I really don't even think he necessarily did it. My theory was that one of my teenagers was already looking at it and just didn't close it out, and then Pee-wee discovered it. And I didn't even yell at Pee-wee, because I was like, you know what? It's a lot, and it's way too early, at least for Pee-wee's age, to even really chew him out about something like that, because that is something I think that's still very foreign to a kid that age. And so my theory was one of my older teenage boys, maybe even girls, who knows, somehow was able to figure out how to manipulate and break through all those walls, and they had that up, and then somehow didn't close it out, and Pee-wee found it. Because I don't even think Pee-wee would even know the language of what to type well, actually, I don't know, because he be listening to them righteous songs. But either way, I was not about to embarrass Pee-wee and pull out the works and just, drill him down, because I was like, you know what? And the interesting thing was, he was never caught doing anything else like that ever again, because I didn't even fuss at him about it. I just pretended I didn't see anything. I was like, let me really just make sure these firewalls are really where they need to be. And so, look, Pee-wee had a great time playing dodgeball, but what annoyed me, I'm thinking, Mr. John, now, you were the one in the room, right? You already can't sharpen no pencils. You already can't do anything physically active. You already don't want to be out in the sun, because then you start burning up, even though you be claiming you Cherokee. And it's like, there's all this stuff going on. You can't do anything. And so it's like, literally, your one job that day was just to sit at the computers, make sure the kids ain't on nothing crazy. You couldn't even do that, right? And so here we are, one of these teenagers is somebody that done got something wild on the computer, and Pee-wee done found it, and somehow you missed Pee-wee enjoying the ladies on the yacht. How did you miss the yacht video, Mr. John? A mess. Look, and Pee-wee had that sound so low on that computer, that sound was set to like 1 out of 100. You couldn't hear nothing. I was like, you know what? And when I went to talk to Ava about it, she was like, you know what? Honestly, at least he was quiet today. Like, we were just tapped out with Pee-wee. Pee-wee was wearing us out. And like I said before, Pee-wee grew up to be one of my favorites, because he's in 8th grade now. But man, when I tell you, he used to take us through it. Whew. Now, if you remember from the previous episode, there has been some major changes at the company. There was a whole restructure. A lot of positions were merged together or consolidated. Some people were pushed out. Some people were promoted. Some people were demoted. Some people lost their roles. And so there's been a bunch of changes. On top of the fact that this already took place after a major restructure, maybe 8 or 9 months earlier, where Mr. John's center was closed down. And that's why Mr. John was splitting his time between my center and the basement location. And so at this point, Dawn is gone, right? We remember Dawn. She was the one that was real trifling. She's out of the picture. Mr. Greg is gone, right? They kind of set him up with his interview, and he knew that he was not going to be able to interview for the same position as Boss Lady, because they were going to choose Boss Lady. So Greg was like, I'm out. Daniel initially thought he was fired, and then he actually stayed on, and then he left again and went to the new position that we just talked about earlier in this episode. So Daniel's gone. And so at this point, all of the basement location is gone. The only people that are there are Boss Lady and Mr. John. So the company made sure to restructure and ensure that the basement location would have enough adequate staff. So now, after getting rid of everybody, here they come, bringing in 4 more people. I was like, well, then what did you get rid? Okay, whatever. So anyway, and mind you, that was entertaining too, because I got to sit in on all of the interviews, and there were a lot of people I was really vouching for that I thought would have been really, really great, because in me and Ava's opinion, we always just felt that the basement location just had like a curse on it or something. There's just this bad energy about that whole building. Every time we go in there, the lights are all dim and dark. It was always roaches and stuff running around. And every time we went there for a meeting, there was an argument, there was a fight. You know, it's just something was off about that location. And it was crazy because, mind you, it was in a church. I was like, okay, well, ain't no anointing up in here, because every time we come in here, you just kind of feel a bad energy. So I was like, whatever. But, you know, I had really rooted for a few people that I thought would be really, really great to, like, bring in the energy. Of course, I was overruled a million times. Everybody knew more than me. So I was like, well, whatever, fine. Y'all go in and hire whoever y'all bring in. So they bring in some new people. The first person they brought on was this girl, Chanel. Now, Chanel is this white woman who was like 26, who relocated from California for this role. And I was like, oh, if you only knew, Chanel, I would have told you don't do it. And so let me tell you what was crazy. Now, when I interviewed for my position, you know, a few years earlier, back in 2011, for some reason, my interview was like an interrogation. I was almost getting cussed out at the interview by Big Boss Man. Like, my first interview with Boss Lady was fine, but when I had to fly in and then do the interview with Boss Lady and Big Boss Man was not impressed. He wasn't having it. It was like a straight interrogation. Like, how do I know you're not just trying to move back to DC? How do I know you're going to be here for more than a year? How do I know, based on the experience that you have, that you know what you're doing? I was like, damn, like, hell, I don't know. just give me a chance. Dang, you acting like somebody want to work here with this little salary y'all giving out. I'm over here living off beans and noodles, and y'all want to give an interrogation like I'm working at the Grand Hyatt making 6 figures, please. But to my point, I got to sit in on her final interview because they did it like a panel. And when I paid attention to the questions that she got, I was like, wait a minute, now these ain't the questions I had. So, you know, again, they gave me the interrogation. Let me tell you what kind of questions she got. One of the questions was, you know, they gave her a scenario where they had like 5 food items in the kitchen and she had to make a fun snack. And it was like, what would you make? And I'm sitting here looking like, oh, really? These are the questions y'all give out to other people? Because, I mean, y'all almost had a gun to my head when I did my interview. I didn't know what to say. I felt like if I said the wrong thing, y'all was going to pull the trigger. Anyway, Chanel answers the question, and like I said, she's very bright-eyed and green and just naive, and there's nothing but good in everything. And so she says this answer like, we'll make whatever they want. If it's pickles and cheese, we'll just make pickles and cheese. I was like, okay, you know what? And every answer she had was just like that. There was some question about, like, what do you do when the kids were going to go outside, but now it's a storm and it's raining and downpouring and flash flooding or something like that. And she's like, well, you know, we can just do a whole lesson on how when it rains, it just gives the plants a chance to grow. They get a chance to grow. And I was like, okay, now what mushrooms is she on? Now, y'all need to be for real. Are y'all really bringing her on? But they brought her on. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Y'all got her coming out here like it's about to be Mary Poppins, and I don't think she know what kind of kids she about to be working with. They're going to be popping her. But anyway, so Chanel is in the mix. There was another guy they brought on, Harvey. I was not there for Harvey's interview. I just showed up to a staff meeting one day, and he was there, and they were like, oh, he's the new education director. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Harvey was cool. He was about a 27, 28-year-old, this black dude. The challenge, though, was Harvey was still living his best life all the time, to the point where he was like coming to work hungover, or he couldn't come to work because he was hungover, or he would leave work early because he had some booty call or something down the street and he needed to go, so he would stay leaving the shift during the middle of the day at the basement location. He always had some mess going, and then he didn't really vibe well with a lot of the other staff there. And so Harvey was cool, but he and I didn't really work together that much, so I didn't have to really interact with him a whole lot. But he was another person that they had brought on. Now, my one beef with Harvey was that he let the kids at the basement location cuss like sailors. He was like, well, I mean, they cuss, that's what they do. And I was like, I get that, because hey, I already told my teenagers, I know y'all cuss like sailors, because when I was in 7th, 8th, in all the grades afterwards, I cussed like a sailor as well. But I was like, when you're at the center, have some decorum with how you carry yourself. When y'all are amongst yourselves, chopping it up, do what you do. But if you're in a room with a bunch of little kids, every other word don't need to be F this and B that and everything else like that. You know, it's kind of like when you're brought up, you're taught to not cuss in front of older people. Like, if we were on the bus or something as teenagers, we knew when like an older black woman or somebody came on the bus, we would kind of just check ourselves, just make sure our conversations weren't too out of pocket, right? And so that's kind of just what I taught my teens. I was like, I know y'all gonna do what y'all want to do, but just have a respect for the building and the work that we're doing. That's it. But man, he didn't see it that same way. He was like, why are we sheltering? What really is a bad word? Oh, okay, you want to be that person. And so I would go to the basement location, and I mean, them kids, every other word, no, MF, mother, no, like N-word every 5 minutes. Mind you, all the kids at the basement location are Salvadorian. So I'm like, y'all saying a whole lot of, I'm seeing and hearing a whole lot of N-word this, N-word that, but I don't see no N-words up in here. Minus me and Harvey, so who y'all in here talking to? And then it pissed me off because Harvey didn't even care about them saying the N-word either. He was cool with that too. I was like, oh, Lord. And he the education director. In charge of education. All right. And then the last two that were brought on were this guy named Josh and this girl Bridget. Both Josh and Bridget used to attend the basement location when they were kids. Now they're high school graduates. They've been brought on part-time. So we're at this meeting. And mind you, like I said, me and Ava really hated going to these meetings at the basement location because it was always something crazy that was going to happen, and the energy in there was just always it was just off the Richter. So it's me, it's Ava, it's Mr. Craig, it's Mr. John, it's Michigan. Remember, Michigan is the one that ran out the room crying during that one meeting when she thought somebody was talking about her. Then there's Chanel, there's Harvey, there's Bridget, there's Josh, and there's Boss Lady. So Boss Lady comes in and she's like, guys, I have such a surprise and a treat for you all. Big surprise. Now, at this point, I've been working with Boss Lady for a few years, and I know whenever she has a surprise or a treat or something whimsical and magical to share, it's never anything I want. Like, I know it's not a raise, it's not a few days off, it's not a bonus, it's normally something crazy that we're about to get pulled into that she thinks is a great idea, and the rest of us are now collateral. And so she's like, I'm not going to say what it is. I just need everyone to bring a bus full of teenagers to the Ritz-Carlton next Saturday. And I'm like, God, another Saturday? Like, they stayed having something on the weekend. I'm like, we work Monday through Friday, right? That's when you're supposed to have the surprise. You know what I mean? And then I was like, which Ritz-Carlton is it? Because I'm like, I know it's not the one by Pentagon City, which is not too far off. It's going to be that one way over in Tyson's Corner that we're going to have to ride in the bus for 45 minutes to get to. And of course, it was the one all the way in Tyson's Corner. So me and Ava got attitude. Mr. Craig is kind of like, okay, we pulled into some more nonsense. Now, mind you, the new staff really have no idea what this is about. So they're kind of excited, especially Chanel. She's like, oh my God, so you're not going to tell us what it is at all? Nope, I'm not going to say a thing. Just have your teens. It's a big surprise. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh my God, I'm shaking. I am shaking. All right, is this meeting over yet? We've been in here 2.5 hours and there's not even no snacks, not even no carrot sticks, no celery, no nothing. I'm in here hungry, my stomach growling, like, can we go? So Boss Lady finally dismisses us and, we all branch off, go to our respective locations. And over the course of the next few days, Boss Lady keeps sending all these emails and these calls. Make sure you are not late. Be on time. This is big, right? So now I'm starting to think, okay, maybe this might actually be something, because again, with the company that we work with, a lot of times the kids do get some cool opportunities where they get to meet celebrities or public figures or sports teams. So you know what, maybe there might be a real thing this time. And so we have our teenagers, me and Ava, we're on the bus, we're all headed there to get there. And mind you, we've made an effort to be on time. Now mind you, getting from my location to Tyson's Corner, it really is like 50 minutes on the bus, right? And so I've got my teens there. We're all ready to go in, and so I start seeing the nonsense unfold right away, right? So as soon as we get there, they're like, okay, you guys are gonna go to the conference room. I forgot which conference room it was, but one of those conference rooms upstairs, right? Like a banquet hall kind of thing, right? So we go in there, and I start to see things that look very familiar. There's this kind of emblem on this display board outside of the conference door that looks so familiar, and I'm like, what do I know this from? Because I remember this emblem, but I can't figure out what I know it from. right? And so boss ladies, oh, you guys are here, come on, everyone come in. And so we go inside the banquet hall, and everybody, they have assigned seats with numbers and stuff here. All the kids got a number and stuff that they gotta, pick up and sit at the table and everything like that. And I don't see any like news cameras. I don't see anybody that looks like a PR for any celebrity. I don't see anybody that looks like a sports agent or anything like that. And now I'm starting to see a few familiar faces, specifically this one guy that's like this Asian guy that's probably about maybe 30 years old. And I'm like, where do I know this guy from? Where do I know him from? And I hate when I can't figure things like this out, because a lot of times I'm really quick on my feet and I can figure stuff out. But for some reason, I could not figure out where I knew this guy from. And so boss lady's there. She has this microphone. She's trying to get everybody to sit down. And out of nowhere, she starts announcing like we're at WWE, like it's the World Wrestling Federation type stuff, right? And so she's like, are you ready? And into the microphone too. Are you ready for your lives to change forever? And again, this is a room full of teenagers, so they're not excited about anything because half of them don't know what they're here for. It's their Saturday. I don't know why she thought they were going to start screaming or something, because she really was trying to rally up the troops. Are you excited? And the kids are, yeah. And I had Dre sit next to me. Dre is a teenager, the one whose mama kicked him out that time, and I had to go and help and convince the mama to let him back in the house. He was sitting right at my table. Mr. Michael, what is this? I don't know. Just I don't know. Are you ready for your lives to change forever? I can't hear you. I'm like, okay, teenagers, please clap, y'all, clap. Come on. All right, so the teenager's like, yeah, woo, excited, so excited. Ava's rolling her eyes. And so boss lady goes, please welcome the wisdom extractors. And I'm like, what? Who? What? Mind you, this whole time I almost was starting to think it might have been Beyonce or somebody coming out. I would have said Janet, but this was the time period where nobody could find her. She had kind of disappeared for a few years. So I was like, what? The what? And then as soon as I heard that name, everything registered, and I knew where I knew that guy from. And I was like, oh my gosh. Boss lady really has us with this again? Let's backtrack so I can put this into context. So we're going to rewind about 5 months. Okay? So 5 months earlier, boss lady had a few of us at this wisdom extractors event because she felt that the staff was really fighting and we weren't getting along and everything like that. And so she had partnered with the wisdom extractors. I'm gonna tell you what they are in a second, right? But their goal was to kind of get us to be on one page. So she had all the people that had beef with each other in this meeting, even though for some reason Ava was not invited. Ava should have been the first one there because her and Don didn't get along. But it was me, it was Don, Daniel, and Mr. John, and then like somebody else, and then some of the teenagers from the basement location that didn't get along with each other. And so all of us are at the basement location in this room, and then here come the wisdom extractors. Now, the wisdom extractors, they were like this group of people who really believe that if you could just restructure your way of thinking and how your mind operated, you could get your brain and your body to do things that it could never do before. It could do the impossible, right? It's kind of like those groups that they think, if you just focus hard enough, you can slam your elbow into a concrete wall and not feel any pain. Walk on some hot coals. We're going to put some gasoline on your foot and set it on fire, and you're going to watch your foot burn, but you know what? You're not going to feel any pain. It was like that kind of stuff, right? Like the people that are like, yeah, man, I'm gonna give you this sand to swallow, and yes, it may be challenging, and you may feel that you need water because you feel thirsty, but really, it's your flesh combating what it is that your spirit is telling your body. So if you can swallow the glass of sand, you will be free when you can let your mind and spirit be on one accord. Do you feel free? Do you feel free, brother? Like, it was that kind of crap. And so we're at the basement location, and they have us do this thing where we close our eyes, and they're kind of giving us this scenario where we have to envision things. And they're like, you're walking down a street, and the wind is blowing, but it's blowing you in the direction of where you want to be in life. I'm like, I know you ain't gonna get this great, right? And the worst part is, and mind you, they had us sitting with our eyes closed. And so while we're sitting with our eyes closed, they got all these sound effects and stuff playing. They got the sounds of the rainforest audio playing. Whoosh, whoosh, like like all that's going on in the background. They got a Tibetan singing bowl, and the guys walking around the room and just all kind of noise. And then every time I would crack my eye open, because initially there was only about 3 of them in the room, every time I would crack my eye open, because I was just making sure nobody was stealing out my bag on the table because my laptop was in it, there was like another wisdom extractor somewhere else that would pop up somewhere. Now I crack my eye open, now there's a 5th person. They got a rain stick. Whoosh, and they're walking around, and then he'd come by you and then shake the stick by your ear. I'm like, get away from me. And so all of this is going on, and by the time we got through the session and I cracked my both eyes open, like, how long is this gonna go? This is not making me have any less smoke for half the people in this room. It's like 8 or 9 of these wisdom extractors running around in the room, and I was like, what is this boss lady? So long story short, she has partnered with these people again and paid these people to do a session with us on this random Saturday with the basement location staff, my staff, and then my teens and the basement location teens on my day off, right? And so I had an attitude. As soon as I realized what this was, I was like, Ava, this is about to be some bull. Like, I'm telling you right now, this is about to be some... and I knew we was gonna be there for 3 or 4 hours. The more I thought about it, the madder I got. And then when I thought about the fact that Boss Lady has probably paid thousands of dollars to these people, I started getting pissed off, because I'm like, you know what? We already don't have no money for anything. The kids don't got enough syrup for the waffles. We gotta split Pop-Tarts. I still don't have a company card. You're still giving me $150 every month from a Costco card to buy supplies and snack. And now all of a sudden, y'all got all the money in the world for these hippies that then came from Woodstock 69 to come and tell me all about life. I was feeling some kind of way. I was in my feelings, like, I cannot believe we are here with this nonsense. And so they had us all in the room split up, and I was so mad because they put Ava way across the room on the other side. Like, she and we couldn't even look at each other and talk our trash like we normally do. And so I'm at my table. It's me, it's Dre, it's some of the kids from the basement location, and then they bring the lady to our table. Mind you, there's like 10 or 11 of these wisdom extractor folks, right? Now, mind you, that was not the name of their company. I'm not going to say what the name of the company is, because I think they might actually still be in business, believe it or not. There are people who are paying for this, and I don't want to put them out there like that. So they bring this lady to our table, right? And so there's this lady, and she's like, my name is Catalina. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Now, Catalina was this white woman, I'm going to say maybe 35, 36-ish, and she had these glasses, really blonde, curly hair, kind of frizzy and just kind of free, kind of, like she ain't really probably ran a comb through it in a while. She just get up and go. She's just living her best life. And, she kind of wears like the clothes that, that like she had this blouse on that was kind of like really loose, kind of wrinkled and everything. You could just tell she's very free-spirited, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like if there's like a dead pigeon on the sidewalk, she might be the person to try to do CPR and see if she can bring it back to life. Like, that's kind of the vibe she was giving. And so she's like, my name is Catalina. I'm like, okay, Catalina. And so Catalina wanted us to do this activity where we all had to write down what our goals were. Right? And so I'm like, okay, so everybody wrote down the goals, and then she wanted us to share, but of course, I'm with a bunch of teenagers, and none of them really want to share, because they're all kind of let down, because again, we were told that there was this great big surprise, and Boss Lady didn't tell us what the surprise was, so they're guessing and thinking it's going to be Wiz Khalifa or something, or it's going to be, the Washington Wizards, or some celebrities or athletes or something, and so here come these random wisdom extractors, and we're all confused at what it is we're sitting through. They weren't really trying to participate. So, I went ahead and I was like, oh, well, I'll go ahead and share, right? And at the time, there was a lot in life that I was really wanting to do. So I'm like, I really want to get into like screenwriting, and I want to kind of go into music and maybe do an album and do all these different things. And so I've named all this stuff that I want to do. Now, mind you, this is like 2013, right? This is this is more than 10 years ago, right? And so doing all of that. And so Catalina's like, these are all amazing, but don't you think you should finish high school first? And I'm looking, huh? Okay. Well, I guess that's a compliment. I guess I look young, but dang. And Dre's looking at me like, high school? Man, Mr. Michael's old. I'm like, okay, let's not get carried away. I'm not that old. Thank you very much. I'm old to y'all because y'all haven't lived yet, but relax. Yeah, I think you should focus on finishing high school. And I'm like, ma'am, I done been through high school and college, and this is my actual job. I'm not one of the kids. Oh, okay. That makes so much more sense. Got it. All right, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a long day. And so we just did activity after activity, and now here's a chant that we're gonna say 50,000 times until it becomes our reality. And now we're gonna pull something out of our soul and make it come into fruition. And there's nothing you can't do. Now everybody get up and let's walk around the room 20 times. I'm like, what? Oh, boss lady. And I just keep thinking about the fact that it's my Saturday. Y'all got me doing this mess, man. Oh, it's my Saturday. It's my Saturday. Even the lunch got on my nerves, right? And so for lunch, I don't even remember what the food was, but that day everything was family style. I'm like, oh, come on. I want my own stuff. I don't want to share with nobody. I don't like that. Nothing against teenagers and stuff. I don't know y'all. I don't know all y'all up in here. I know my kids, and as much as I love them, I don't want to eat it after them either. Right? And so, we had whatever we ate, it was like family style. I'm like, oh God. Speaking of food, you know what pisses me off all the time? I hate if I go to like a nice restaurant and it's already overpriced, and then they tell you the food is a la carte. Oh, you want to talk about me getting triggered? Oh yeah, our steak is a la carte. Dang, well the steak already $80. You mean I gotta pay for some sides too? Oh my God. Oh, don't come to me with no a la carte nothing. Do not invite me anywhere where the sides don't already come with the entree, okay? I don't want an a la carte nothing. Cart on over some sides for free, because I'm not paying $80 and $100 for one meal, and that doesn't even include the drink. And then you got the nerve to ask me if I want an appetizer. No, because now I got to figure out if I'm getting my lights cut off or do I want to eat. Nonsense, right? So then we've had this lunch. Everybody is ready to go. This has been such a waste of a day. Now, mind you, we had Catalina. I don't remember who Ava had for her group, but just know everybody in this room is over it. Boss lady's running around like she's just saved the world. I mean, she could not stop smiling. She was moving like this day was going to change these kids' lives forever. And these kids were ready to go. And all the kids kept trying to find reasons why they had to go to the bathroom, or they had to keep stepping out in the hall to check their phone because they got to check, my mom called. I'm like, your mom did not call, whatever. And so everybody's ready to go. And so we had one last major activity. And now here we are again. It's that activity where they're going to put on that Sounds of the Rainforest music, and we're going to go from there. So they put on the music over the speakers, right? And we're all at our tables, and we all have to sit and close our eyes. And this time, they're going to actually have the wisdom extractors just leading the sessions at each individual table this time, right? So we're sitting at the table with the eyes closed, and Catalina starts. You're walking through a forest. You step on the leaves. The leaves are crunchy. You can smell the fall in the air. Some call it autumn. The air is crisp. You feel the slight breeze of the wind blow against your face as you walk through the crunchy leaves. Crunch, crunch, crunch. You feel the pressures of the world all around you, but yet you feel free. Why do you feel free? Because you are not bound by anything of this world. Your imagination, and it just kept going. I'm like, are y'all serious? And mind you, it's like I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this point, my eyes are wide open because I'm like, what time is this thing over? Y'all in here playing in my face. It's Saturday, I got stuff to do. And it's like Ava's across the room, and Ava she always calls it Twan when you suck your the whole, it's like I could hear Ava like sucking her teeth from across the room. And so it's like I'd be sitting there, and Ava had a guy at her table. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but all of them were reading from the same script. So whatever the guy was saying was going to be the same thing Catalina was saying. And so, the guy at her table was probably like, and then the rain pours, the water is cold. And then you hear her, cold upon your shoulders, but not cold upon your heart. It was just like, it was the longest day. I was like, boss lady, oh, don't you ever in your life tell me you have another surprise for us again, because this is some BS. That had to be the worst and longest day ever. Oh, I was so mad, man. And the other thing boss lady didn't understand is, like, when we tell teenagers or kids that there's this great opportunity and there's a field trip and they go, and then it's not a great opportunity and they don't enjoy themselves, Then when we actually need them for things, when they're like, hey, the White House just called, can you get some kids to stand behind Obama to sign a bill? They don't want to go. They don't want no more surprise. Because, like, again, a lot of times if we had anything with like the White House or something, we couldn't say it's the White House, or we couldn't say, it's the First Lady or anything like that for security reasons. So a lot of times you just already get the clearances and they do the backgrounds and everything. And then by the time we're there, then we can say, okay, you're really about to go and meet the president or something like that. So it's like, when they get so many trips that suck, it's hard to get kids when you need them for things. Or, hey, we have a fundraiser, we need, a banquet, and we need teenagers, and they don't want to go. They're like, we're not going to that. And so, listen, the wisdom extractors was some nonsense. And just understand, that would not be the last we see of them. One of the craziest things about working with kids was that you just never knew what kind of day you were going to have. That's also what I loved about working with kids. No day was ever the same. You could never be bored at work, right? Because there was always going to be something going on. But there would be some days where it was really smooth. Everything just went according to plan. Everything went perfectly, sometimes even better than how you planned it. And when you go home and you lock that final door and say that last goodbye, you're in a good mood. You got the music playing. You're going to go and treat yourself or catch up with some old friends or just have a great night. You still have energy to live life afterwards. And then there's those other days where everything under the sun has happened. Things where you're just like, how? Right? And so by the time you lock that door, you just want to get to your car, and you can't even get to your car because they still got stuff waiting for you while you're outside. Some kid's like, oh, I think I can't find my coat. Okay, well, listen, hey, the housekeeping staff always make sure that any coats they find in the center will be on the bench when you get out here in the morning for school. So don't worry, your coat will be out here on the bench if you didn't already leave it at home like you normally do every other day. Mr. Michael, I forgot to tell you, the other day, Tiff said that my hair was big, and the reason why I don't ever feel the rain is because my forehead stops the rain from hitting the rest of my body. Okay, well, I will make sure to talk to Tiffany about not talking about people and make sure that she's nice. Okay, you head home, and you over there, go home. Your mom said you're supposed to be home before the sun goes down. All right, I don't feel like fighting with her tomorrow. And then there's another kid. I think I left my homework in the computer lab. Oh my God! All right, now you got to go back inside, unlock the door. Now you got to turn the alarm off. And as soon as you open the door, all the kids are running back in. Oh yay, we're still open. No, God, guys, head home. We gotta go. Well, Mr. Michael, can I get the snack that's still on the counter? No, there's no more snack on the counter. Yes, there is, because Greg didn't want his. Oh, well, just grab it. And then they grab the snack, another kid. That's not fair. Okay, well, y'all split it in half. Just give it to me. Here, I'll eat it. All right, come on. And then you push all the kids out, and you just get to your car. You don't even want any music. You just ride in silence. There's days like that. So there was this one day where it was like everything under the sun kept happening. To start things off, it was homework time. Things were actually going relatively smooth. Ava had her group in the teen room with the little kids. Mr. Craig had his group in the lab. Mr. John was there that day. I had the group, the older elementary in my room. I had some of the middle schoolers and the high schoolers helping with the older elementary with their homework. But I did notice that I was missing a few of my normal kids that I normally see every day. Specifically Theo. Theo's the one I would always notice if he was missing, because he gives himself away when he's doing something he's not supposed to. He reminds me so much of myself when I was younger. I was not a good liar as a child because I just looked guilty. I would give myself away every time. That was the difference between my brother and I. Like, my brother could just lie straight in your face when we were little and all was well. Like, it was just like, yeah, what you talk about? Like, what? And me, I'd be shaking. Like, so my parents knew when I was lying. Theo was the same way. He would stutter. He couldn't get no words out right. Now, remember, Theo is also the kid I talked about from the episode when I called the group the Bandits that went to the dollar store and they were still in. It was like Theo, Hannah, Chase, Monica. So Theo is very obvious. It was obvious when he wasn't around. And so I'm like, y'all, where's Theo? And not only that, I'm missing like 4 other kids. So I'm like, and where's this person? Where's that person? Where's that person? And everybody's like, his mom said he had to do something. Really? Yeah, his mom said he had to do something. Okay, all right, thank you. And so we're doing homework, and then I start to notice, I see a few of the teachers from the school in the neighborhood, right? And I see them like walking in a group, and it looks like they're following maybe a map that's on the phone. And now the kids are starting to notice that the teachers are in the neighborhood. Mr. Michael, Mrs. Stacy's here! Mrs. Stacy's here! I'm like, what? Okay, all right, y'all keep doing your homework really quick. I step outside just to make sure everything's okay. Like, hey, y'all, how's it going? Because, we do kind of know a lot of the teachers because, we interact and we connect and, give updates about best practices with some of the students that need a bit more assistance and stuff. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? Miss Stacy's like, actually, no. My cell phone is missing, and I'm using the Find My iPhone app, and it's taking us to this neighborhood. I was like, oh, Lord Jesus. Now I'm starting to think, because I'm like, you know what? Theo's missing. Otis is missing. Who else is missing? Alan's missing. Nikki's missing. Tiara's missing. I know these kids are up to something, right? And so I'm like, oh no, okay, well, let me know if, y'all find anything. I'll keep an eye out over here and ask the kids. And at this point, I already know everything's already confirmed. One of these kids took the teacher's phone. And so, I'm watching the teachers go building to building, right? They're following where the phone leads them. And the phone leads them to the very building that I knew they were going to go to, Theo's building. And at the same time, I'm starting to see some of these kids that I said were missing kind of running around the neighborhood, like running on the other side, looking like they're hiding from the teachers. I was like, you know what? And I was like, Donnie, come here. Now, Donnie, like I said, is one of my favorites. Donnie will do any and everything for me because Donnie is just, you have your favorites. You're not supposed to have them, but you end up having them. He was my absolute favorite at the time. Donnie's now almost wrapping up his senior year of high school, but at this point, Donnie should have been about 2nd or 3rd grade. I was like, Donnie, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to the playground and act like you're looking for a basketball, but I want you to kind of be nosy and tell me what it is you hear from any of those kids that are currently running, and then I want you to come back, and if you can do that without giving yourself away, I'll have a special treat for you at the end of the day, but this is our secret, so don't tell anybody else, okay? And so Donnie goes out there, he's like, okay, Mr. Michael, okay, I'm going right now, Okay, shh, just go, thank you, okay, go, right? And so Donnie comes back a few minutes later, and he's like, Theo has their phone, they're hiding it. I was like, really? Okay, thank you. All right, go finish doing your homework. So now I'm in, let me get these kids out of trouble mode. Like, the thing was, I would rather they be in trouble with me and I handle it rather than the stuff going on with the schools and stuff, because the thing is, you don't want these kids to get into too much trouble with certain institutions and stuff, because then that starts following them and things get worse. And at this point, Theo is like a 4th grader and kids are going to do stupid things. And when I think of all the horrible, stupid things that I've done and fortunately got away with at that age, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to extend a little grace here, because as cuckoo as Theo can be, he's not really an ill-spirited child that does evil things. He just always gets caught up in something crazy. So I see all the different kids that are missing slowly, like running around, and like I said, they're kind of running the opposite way where the teachers are going. The teachers are going and knocking on doors and stuff, and so I start calling the ones that are running to come inside one by one, like, bring your butts in here, sit down and do homework. Y'all need to stop looking like y'all are up to something. Y'all sit down, get your homework, just go. And eventually Theo somehow pops his head in the center. I was like, Theo, come here. You have that lady's phone? No, Theo, before you start, I'm trying to help you. Now, this can go so many ways. Let's do this as easy as possible. I'm trying to help you get out of whatever trouble you're about to get yourself into, so I need you to tell me the truth. Do you have Miss Stacy's phone? Well, it's on accident. Okay, that's all I need to know. Okay, so this is where's the phone right now? And he's like, I hid it in the slide. I'm like, why would you hide it, boy? Okay, and I was like, is that why the teachers keep going in different directions? Because you guys are like passing the phone off to different people and moving around with it? Yeah. Okay, well, Theo, this is what we're gonna do. Is it still in the slide right now? Yeah. Okay. This is the one time I'm going to almost let you slide with your foolery, depending on whatever choice you make. So here are the options. Option 1 is you go over there and get the phone and give it to your teacher, and God willing, you don't get in too much trouble with them, because you're already going to be in enough trouble with me, right? Option 2, I go out there with you while you grab this phone, and maybe with me being there, you get a little bit of leniency. I'm not going to do a lot of talking. Whatever comes, but I'm just here for some moral support. Option 3, I let you sit in this window for the next 5 to 7 minutes, because the teachers already have a tracking device on their phone, and it's going to lead them to this phone. Your job would be to sit in this window and watch that slide and make sure that nobody touches that phone before the teachers get to it. And so you're sitting in this window until you see Miss Stacy and crew with that phone in their hand, and God willing, they just head on out and go home, and we move on from there. But after 5 to 7 minutes, if nobody's come, we're going out there and we're getting that phone and giving it to them before somebody else comes and takes it. That's going to be the option. So which one do you want? I'll just watch the window. All right, you feel like your luck is gonna be there. You feel like you can test your luck, because listen, if I have to go out there, it's I'll just sit and watch. Okay, sure. So he sat in the window, and he got to about that 6th minute. I'm starting to look like the teacher still ain't really getting there, and just in his favor, you start seeing the teachers walk towards the slide, and then I see one teacher like grab it and like jump up and down, and I'm like, this makes no sense. Why these kids? God dang it, these kids! The way I chewed those kids out in that teen room, like Theo caught it for me once that door closed. It was like Theo, and then all of the kids that were helping him move the phone from location to location. Oh, they got a word from me, and y'all know I'm long-winded, so I know they got tired of me talking after a while. But man, and then when I asked them, I was like, so why did y'all take the phone, right? Like, why would you steal the phone? Like, y'all, it's your teacher's phone. And I was so mad because I'm like, you're stealing from your teacher. The very people that are teaching y'all to read and to learn and everything else like that, and we're trying to build a whole community here, y'all are breaking the bond of trust when you do that. And so, does that mean I can trust you guys if we go on a field trip that you're not going to steal from a theme park convenience store? That means y'all just don't need to go. Like, just going and going and going. And so the kids are like, because I'm like, what, did you need the calculator and you just kind of forgot and kept, like, what happened? Did you mistake it for, your own, or what happened? Do y'all want to know why these kids stole the phone? Flappy Bird. Freaking Flappy Bird. You remember Flappy Bird? It was this game that was on, it was an app. And it was the game where it was like, there's the bird that's flying across the sky, and you have to stay in between those big pipes that are hanging from the sky and from the ground. It looks just like the setup for Mario, and the bird has to just not crash into the things, or you have to keep starting over. And it's a very addictive game, because it's very, very challenging, but the adrenaline rush that you get from playing it makes you want to keep playing and playing and playing and playing. At this point, because we're now in the top of 2014, the Flappy Bird creators had gotten sued by the makers of Mario because it was like, you stole our whole landscape and everything, and so Flappy Bird had to be taken out of commission. And so we're now in this era where Flappy Bird is no longer available in the App Store, and so people who had Flappy Bird, they could be grandfathered in as long as they don't delete the app. And so the teacher, Miss Stacy, had Flappy Bird on her phone. I guess she let the kids play it one time. Now they all know what she has. They were addicted to the game, and they wanted to play the game a little bit longer. So they took the phone. Now, Theo claims that it wasn't on purpose. It was just that the day had ended at school and like they had finished their homework and everything, and so the teacher let them play Flappy Bird, and they kind of just forgot that they had it, and when the bell rang, they kind of just walked out the door with it and got on the bus, and then they realized that they had it. And I was like, well, if that's the case, then why are y'all running around hiding it? Y'all should have known to just give it straight to the teacher when they got here, or you should have gotten straight off the bus and came to me and said, Mr. Michael, we forgot we have the teacher's phone, and we could have gone from there. That way when the teachers pulled into the neighborhood, I could have said, hey, we have your phone here. Now it's like, so somebody here lying, the whole story ain't coming together. But anyway, so that's just piece one of the craziness that happened that day. About an hour later, it's snack time. And I have all the kids gathered in the big room. This is the time where everybody comes in the big room, and this is when all the announcements go out. All of the things that the kids need to know about. If we have a field trip coming up, if there's something that they need to bring, if there's something their parents need to sign, all those different things. And this is also when the kids do fact of the day. Like I've said before in an earlier episode, I have a calendar with each kid selected for a specific day where they have to go and look up a cool history fact or science fact or just some kind of fact and then share it with everybody. They present it in front of everybody. Once they present their fact, they get to be snack helper. And like I said in an earlier episode, snack helper at this center was the top tier position to be, especially if you were a little kid. Like, they went hard for this role. Just think back to that element of power you felt if you got to be line leader in elementary. You know what I mean? Like, the whole class, all 25 of them got to be behind you, and you're the one leading the pace and the speed of the line. Like, they went hard for snack helpers. Something about them being able to pick and choose who gets to eat first and who doesn't. They loved that, especially if they were being petty. Clarissa used to be messy because if she had somebody she was mad at, she just didn't even call them at all. Oh, I didn't call you? Really? Clarissa, come on up. Come on up. Clarissa, stop doing that. Like, yeah, they used to be petty with it. So, snack helper was everything to them. And the cool thing about it is there's like two benefits. Benefit one is, as these kids were coming up and doing their fact of the day, it helps them get comfortable presenting in front of people. You stand in front of 40 or 50 people and share something. And I think the reason why even just doing the fact of the day wasn't a challenge at the center and the kids used to like fight and claw to do it was because it was a supportive environment. It's not a situation like you're in the classroom and you have to answer a question, and if you get it wrong, the whole class is going to laugh, or some teachers are going to fuss at you. This is a situation where the kid goes and they look up something that's interesting to them and then they share it. Right? And so I also would kind of take a look at whatever fact they had before they went up there just in case, because sometimes these kids come up here with some wild stuff. Rick James lived a life of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Cocaine. Well, hey, what fact did you get that? Come here. All right, y'all, we was just kidding. That's not our fact for today. Yeah, sometimes they would have stuff, and you'd be like, where did you get that from? So I started making the kids, show me their fact before I let them go up there and just say stuff. So yeah, this was something that was kind of beneficial for the kids in multiple ways. They get the luxury of learning to get comfortable in front of audiences and becoming better presenters and better speakers, and then at the same time, they somewhat get a reward, right? So there's an incentive as to why they're standing in front of all these people and speaking. They get to do something that they really want, which is be the snack helper. So yeah, I'm doing my announcements and I'm talking about Lord knows what to the kids, and I'm like, all right, and so we're gonna do that, and then we're going to free time. Let me go grab your snack. So I walk in the kitchen to get the snack, and then I realize, oh shoot, we don't have any snack. Dang it, I gotta run to the store. Okay guys, I was just kidding. Miss Ava's gonna take over while I run to the store. I'll be right back. So I run to the store. Mind you, like I said, it's not like I got a company card. Boss lady gives us the $150 Costco cards, and I'm sure at this point there's no money on it, so now I gotta use my own, and I'm at a different store. So I'm in a store over here, stretching $1 to get snack. And so when I pull back up to the club, I see a few police cars in the neighborhood, but it's not anything new because the police are always there. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I go inside. I literally still have the grocery bags in my hand, right? And about 10 seconds later, one of the officers comes in the center. Hey, I need to know where Tamala is. I'm turning around. What? Oh, Tamala? Ain't no Tamala in here. Tamala is in here. I'm like, Tamala? And I'm confused because I'm like, sir, this is an after-school community center. Like, this is where kids come. There's no Tamala here. Tamala's a teenager. Okay, well, one, you don't gotta yell, but, yeah, I don't know a Tamala. Like, I don't have a Tamala that's registered to come here and everything else like that. You're telling me there's no Tamala here. She was just spotted coming in here. I'm like, well, clearly you just saw me walking in the door, so maybe there might be somebody in here, but listen, I don't know, or whatever. And then, like, while everything's happening, Ava pops out, and it's like, what is going on? And they're like, Tamala. And so while all that's happening, next thing you know, boom, here comes a girl named Tamala coming out the computer lab. I said, what is happening here? So I'm all lost, like, wait a minute. And then he starts yelling, why are you here? What are you doing here? I'm like, well, okay, all right, I need everybody to bring it down, right? Because all of the kids are now, like, stopping and watching. The kids that were on the foosball have stopped hitting the foosball. They're staring. Tiff, that's the girl I said that's real nosy. Tiff is loving this. This is about to be a show for her. This is a flashback to the time where that whole family had came outside and everybody thought I was about to get beat up by the family that came to jump Dre, right? And so everybody's kind of staring and like, amen for Mr. Craig. Because Mr. Craig, like I said, Mr. Craig is older black man in his like 50s. He just moves different. Because me, I'm like 20. At this point, I'm about 24. Maybe I'm getting ready to be 25. I think I'm 24. And me and Ava are, and Ava's a year younger than me. We're like, what the heck is going on here? And so I'm in shock because I'm like, in the 10 seconds that I've walked in the door, or within the minute since that 10 seconds that I walked in the door, I've been semi-fussed at by some cop who's asking about some random person named Tamala that I've never heard of in my life, and out of nowhere, there's a Tamala that's walking out the computer lab, the officer's yelling, and I'm like, what is happening? Mr. Craig comes out here, and he comes out like, whoa, now, what we ain't about to do is come out here causing no commotion, causing no scene, ain't nothing to be fussing about, this is a 13-year-old girl, whatever the problem is, we gonna move this outside and take care of it from there, it's not gonna happen here with all these kids, so everybody, let's just start moving here, and oddly enough, the officer's like, yeah, let's move outside right now. I'm like, okay. So Mr. Craig, he's like, Mr. Michael, I'm going to take care of it, but I'll update you. And I'm like, I think I still need to be here for this because, yeah, if something crazy happening, it's going to fall on me. So I'm going to follow you guys out here and, let me just see what's happening. So to give some context, we have a member named Erica who was relatively new. She had been coming to the center for maybe about a year. And the coolest thing was a lot of times our kids would bring friends and their friends would join, right? That would happen all the time, right? Kind of like when I told you about Clarissa bringing her friend and she brought the white boy, or Zach, Zach, we loved Zach, but Zach, after the school year ended, Zach didn't come back no more. His mama said, all right, that's enough culture for you. And so anyway, they would have friends that, they bring over and stuff. And so sometimes if they brought a friend, yeah, you can hang for a day. And if you like it and you want to keep coming, I can get you a membership form. So that was kind of a thing. And so Erica became a member through some of our older members that had been there for a really long time. And so Erica had really fit in, sweet girl. Now I will say she came from a background which unfortunately I hate that some kids have to have it. And for her experience, she had a mother that was back and forth with substance abuse. And so she never quite had a steady home. And because of that, she kind of went from home to home. Sometimes she was with the mom when the mom was good. When the mom wasn't well, then she was with the grandma. If stuff was going on with the grandma's health, then she was with the uncle. One time they had to stay in a shelter, which, that was another story because the shelter that they put her and the mom in was like 50 minutes from the school. And there was no way for her to get to school. And I remember I went to the school to try to, or Ava and I had went to the school to try to see if we could get like her homework and stuff, but because the mom never signed off for us to have those kind of rights, we couldn't do anything. The mom had to give us permission, but again, the mom is back and forth between, her challenges and stuff. So just know she had a really, really hard setup. And the mom was really trying her best, but life hits people differently. And so what we did not know was that Erica also had a younger sister named Tamala. Erica never really quite told us about Tamala, which, hey, it comes with the territory. There were some things she just wasn't really happy to share, I guess, and she was still relatively new. And so Tamala was her younger sister that was about 13. Tamala didn't live with them. Tamala lived in what you kind of call one of those court-appointed facilities that sometimes they will send teenagers to. So think of like if they have it in your state, a place like Youth for Tomorrow, where sometimes you have kids that are court-ordered. Maybe they're in a situation where the parents are unfit and it's not healthy for the kids to be in the house with the parent, and maybe there wasn't a foster care system or foster parent that could take them on, and so they end up in a place like Youth for Tomorrow where they live there. It's like a campus. The kids still go to school, have normal experience, but like they live at the campus, and they have arts and they have music and they have all these different things. They have their own dorm rooms, so they have that. So some kids go there for that. Some kids have made some choices that maybe weren't the wisest choices, and rather than being sent to juvenile detention, they're sent to a place like Youth for Tomorrow as a way to like rehabilitate and rebuild and try again, like just different experiences. So Tamala was in a situation like that. I am not 100% sure why she was in that. I don't know if it has to do with the mom or whatever, but long story short, she had gone missing for 2 days. She hadn't been at her assigned court-ordered location, and they had been looking for her. And because, when they do this kind of background and these kids have caseworkers and everything, these caseworkers know everything about these kids. They know where the kids go to school, who their siblings are, who their mom is, so on and so forth. So they did their investigating and figured, okay, well, she has a sister. her and the sister never see each other, but let's see if she is somewhere with the sister, because the sister goes to this high school. They did the research and figured out, this sister Erica was at the high school, and then the high school was able to say, well, Erica takes the bus to this specific neighborhood, when the school day is out, and then boom, they say, hey, there's a whole community center neighborhood, let's go and check there, and boom, we think we just saw her. So that's what that was about. And so on that day, Erica was also a little caught off guard. I'm sure her and her sister have some sort of relationship, but she didn't really know her sister was showing up to the center that day. So just as Tamala had come in, the first person that she got to talk to was Mr. Craig. That's why Mr. Craig knew that she was 13, because Mr. Craig's also Mr. Investigation. Hey, what school you go to? All right, what's your favorite basketball team? Like, he loves to ask questions and get to know folks. And so, Tamala and Erica and Mr. Craig are, shooting a breeze, and Ava's jumping in and they're having a happy conversation. And then that's around the time that I'm walking in the door, and then the police officer comes behind me, and then all the chaos happens. And so it was that day, it was a headache, because then they wanted to cuff the girl and put her in the back. I was like, damn, we gotta do this in front of the kids. Like, y'all can't like walk over to the corner and then she get in the car over there so everybody ain't gotta see, because there's just certain images I don't want kids to always see, because there's certain images you just never forget. Like, if I could scrub some memories from my mind, I wish I would have never saw the Oklahoma City bombing footage when it first happened, because I was in like kindergarten or first grade, and it's a certain image I just always remember of like the kids that had been under the rubble and stuff. Like, there's certain things I wish I could unsee, you know what I mean? And so like that had happened, and then Erica kept apologizing. She felt so bad. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. If I knew, I would say, Erica, it is okay, you're not in trouble. And the thing, and I told her, I was like, the thing I want you to be happy about is the fact that first of all, your sister is gonna have her journey, but the fact that she knew that she could come to you means that you guys still have a really good bond. And I love that at least she felt safe coming to the center. That's what we're here for, right? And we were gonna make sure that we could do everything we could do in our capacity for Tamala, because I was like, listen, what's her social worker's information? I can easily get that, and maybe I can meet with the social worker. We can set up something where maybe Tamala can come to the center a few days a week, or even if it's just one day for a few hours, just to now she can see her sister, and we can help with the homework, and just she can get some additional support. And we're asking Tamala all these different questions, like when you go to your thing, is there like any clubs or something you're a part of as far as like sports or anything? Just because I didn't want Tamala to feel like she was in this by herself, because I think that's a very traumatizing experience when you don't really have a home that feels like home. It's court ordered. There's logistics and politics and adult things that all tie into your experience, and sometimes you want kids to just know that there's somebody in their corner, right? And so we really tried to get it where she could come to the center, but there was additional logistics we weren't really aware of, and they're like, no, it's just not gonna happen. I'm like, fine, whatever. But yeah, that was a day, and Erica felt so bad because she really just swore that she got me and everybody in trouble. Like, it's okay, like, Erica, you really didn't know your sister was coming either, which it's okay, breathe, I am not mad at you, right? And so then the day kept going. So now we're like at the last hour of the day. We are doing clay art. And it's the kind of clay where the kids can build whatever they want to build. And when they're ready, we put the art in the oven, and it's a special kind of clay. And once it comes out the oven, it hardens, and now they have a permanent fixture of whatever it is that they've created, right? And so the kids are doing that. At this point, it's dark outside. And Chase, the same kid that I told you about that's Mr. Power Ranger, does the cartwheels in the parking lot, everything's a video game to him. You know, he has a younger brother, Lance, who's now in first grade. Lance was a character, and you know what's so funny, because Lance was a part of that newer cohort of little kids that we got around 2012, 2013, and so at this point he's in first grade, but Lance was this tiny little kid, you know, he's Chase's little brother, but what was so cute was Lance had these big giant eyes. And when Lance got in trouble, his face gave it away every time because he would just bulge his eyes out. He could never not look guilty when he did something he wasn't supposed to do. I remember this one time, I had a pack of Reese's Pieces on the counter, right? And for some reason, I could not find the can. I'm like, I just had it a second ago. And the only person that had been in the kitchen was Lance. And I was like, hey, Lance, come here for a second. Now, mind you, I can smell all the chocolate and peanut butter in his breath. And I'm like, hey, Lance, you see my candy? What? And he's talking, you can see the chocolate and the peanut butter all in his teeth, and he done got the stain all on his chin. I'm like, boy. I was like, yeah, you see my candy? Like, I knew he had it, so I was like, let me just troll this kid. Like, hey, you see my candy? I don't know. I haven't seen anything. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Do you know anybody who might have done it? Chase. I'm like, look, it's a sibling thing. Little kids will always throw their older sibling under the bus. You sure Chase took it? Yeah. What do you think I should do to Chase? Suspend him. For how long? Forever. Yeah, so you think stealing the candy's worth, just being kicked out of the center forever? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of Chase and he's never coming back. That's fine. Yeah. You're sure? Yeah. Lance, how did you get that chocolate on your hands? Chase, he was chasing me, and when he grabbed my hand, it got on my hand. And I'm thinking, like, this boy, he just gonna keep lying. So yeah, it was like you had Chase with his situation. There was Willow, who again, that was the one who was too young to come at one point, and now she's finally there. And me and Willow always had beef. It's funny, we still have beef today. Like, Willow is a junior in high school now, but there was this one time, I don't know what happened. Her mom had dropped her off, and nobody was at the center yet because it was just me and the staff. The kids were still in school. The mom just asked, like, I don't have anywhere for her to go. I have to go to work. And, I forgot why she couldn't be at school. She wasn't sick because I'm like, nope. But anyway, so I was like, well, it's fine. It's only like 2 hours, so she can hang with us. And so I had no idea there was a show called Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. Because, if you're a millennial, we grew up on Mr. Rogers. If you're Gen X, you grew up on Mr. Rogers. So I ain't never heard no Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, but it's the same show, but instead of Mr. Rogers, it's like a tiger. And so she was so pressed to watch this on the YouTube on my computer. That's Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. Okay, well, but I did Daniel Tiger. I was like, what? I ain't never heard no Daniel Tiger, nothing but Neighborhood. And so I finally figured out what it is. I type it in, and I'm like, oh, okay. And we're watching, and they're singing, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood." I'm like, oh, okay. So this is like Mr. Rogers. And I'm like, okay, so you know what, Willow, when I was little, there was a show called Mr. Rogers that was just like it. No, this is Daniel Tiger. This is Daniel Tiger. I know it's Daniel Tiger, but what I'm saying is there's a guy named, no, this is not the same. Okay, so then I was so pressed to be right. I was like, let me YouTube. So then I pull up Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Rogers is doing his Mr. Rogers thing with the sweater and the kicks, and see, this still from Daniel Tiger, he's still from Daniel Tiger. I was like, and so it's just been like this ongoing joke we've had for years. Like, I'm like, you still pressed about Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood? So there was Willow, there was Angel, that was the one whose mama showed up and just dropped her off and was like, please take her, because she, remember, she jumped out the moving car in the last episode. So all of these little kids, Pee-wee, who, I'm sure, thank God I don't have any gray hairs, but if I ever were going to have any gray hairs at the center, he would have gave me about 12 of them. Like, the little kids took you there. So anyway, so we're doing the clay art, and I keep hearing this loud screaming. I mean, like, screaming like somebody's almost dying outside. I'm like, wait a minute. I was debating if I should lock the door and make all the kids go in the other room and turn the lights off. I'm like, what is going on? And then I start to recognize the scream, and I'm like, this sounds like Lance. And I just, because Lance wasn't there. Like, he and his brother Chase had already gone home for the day. His mama had called and sent them, to have them come home. Okay, sure. So they'd already been home. So I'm like, why is Lance screaming? And so, mind you, we have like glass door, glass window, and everything. And so again, it's pitch black outside, but I see this woman who has Lance by his coat, and she's walking him to the center. And so it's this woman that's from Pakistan that lives on the other side of the neighborhood, and she has Lance, and she's walking him straight to us. And I'm like, Lord, what is going on over here? And so I meet them at the door, like, hey, what's going on? I can't get a word in. The lady can barely get a word in because Lance is screaming like hysterically. I mean, snot run. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, man, what's going on? He jumped from bush. He jumped from bush. I'm like, wait, what? Lance, what happened? Okay, you know what, never mind, Lance. So, ma'am, I'm so lost. What's going on? What the woman was trying to explain to me was that she was walking with her 2 younger children. She had 2 toddlers, like a 2-year-old and like a 1.5-year-old. One was in a stroller, one was holding her hand. They were walking back from the shopping center and she was walking home. And like I said, it's nighttime. And so she said that Lance and another child jumped out at her from the bushes to try to scare her. And it freaked her out, made the babies cry. And then one kid ran. And then she knew to bring Lance to me, which is so funny because the thing is this, like, everybody knows me as the person that's with all the kids. Same for Ava. And it's because the parents, they see us every day greeting the kids at the bus. So even when there are kids that are not ours or kids that don't ever come to the center, when kids in the neighborhood would get in trouble with something, they would come and bring them to me. If there was something that happened over the weekend, I don't know, there's some situation with the middle schoolers and they then got into some fights at the playground. Sometimes kids from other neighborhoods would be in there and they having a royal rumble. You know, you would get a text or something from a parent like, Mr. Michael, there's some stuff going on in the neighborhood with these kids. Make sure to talk to them when you get back home. Like, it was just like, everybody just bring all the kids to you. And so she was saying, yeah, some kid ran and I was able to get this one. What do we do? I'm like, what do you mean, what do we do? But anyway, so I'm like, okay, Lance, just have a seat right here. Let me, because you're supposed to be home. Like, why are you outside in the pitch black? Let me make sure your mom knows where you're at. And now he's thinking he's joking, don't call my mom! Don't call my mom! I'm like, Lord, because that used to drive me crazy. Because when I say Lance could just scream, oh, if there's one thing I can't stand about little kids when they cry is when they just start screaming and just get stupid with it. I'm like, Lord, Lance. I was like, Lord. And so the mom eventually comes because she was asleep. She didn't know they was outside. And so she comes. I was like, hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up. Like, yeah, I thought he was with you. I just want to make sure you know where he's at. You know, you want him to stay with us or so on and so forth. And mind you, the other ladies pissed like, we need to talk about why he jumped out and scared me. Ain't no, is he want to stay here or not? Like, she got the smoke for Lance still. And so the mom was like, where's your brother? Where's Chase? Where's Chase? And little Lance is still boo-hooing and snotting and crying, and you can't make out anything he's saying. Then out of nowhere, Chase walks in the door. And the lady is like, that's him! That's him! And she's like, that's the other kid! I'm like, oh, Lord, Chase. And so I'm like, Chase, what happened? And he was like, we were just playing a game. And we was playing... Like, okay, to sum it up, I told you, Chase thinks he's a Power Ranger. This is like in real life. He's not like this now. He's grown. He's in college. But at the time, he used to, everything was a game. Like, he was always a Power Ranger. He was always some kind of anime character. And so life was a video game. And he was always fighting to save the world and stop the bad guys and stuff. And he would do random things like hide out at the playground and jump off the monkey bars and pretending that he was fighting bad guys. So in this moment, he and Lance were playing Power Rangers and they were protecting the city or protecting the world from whoever the bad guys were. And so they were hiding out in the bushes, and every time somebody walked past, they would jump out and scare them and pretend to fight because they just imagination galore, right? And so when they did that, as soon as that woman clapped back, Chase got scared and sprinted away, left little Lance by himself, and then that's when the woman took Lance to the center, and Chase literally watched this whole thing unfold. Chase ran and watched from behind a car or something, because you can see into the center at night, because again, the doors glass, the windows and stuff are glass, it's nighttime and our lights are on. You can see everything happening on the inside. So he can see the woman inside talking to me, he can see Lance boo-hooing and snotting. He watched his mom walk from home all the way to the center to come meet us, and then he finally comes in there. Boy, these kids, I was like, y'all, to the lady, I was like, ma'am, we apologize, we got it from here, but thank you, you get home safe. Lance, Chase, why? When I tell you that was just a day, I was like, you know what, I remember getting in my car, I remember riding in silence, I don't even want to hear no music, like, let me just hear the sound of the engine, and then check engine light is on. Let me hear whatever's still clicking while I'm driving. Let me just listen to that. That's more therapeutic right now. I remember I got home, and I was like, I think I'm gonna just go to bed. It's been a day. Like, it's so funny. These kids will take you there. When I say this work is a labor of love, it can really be a labor of love. You love the kids, but sometimes they just do stuff. There was this one time boss lady invited all of us to her house, Like, yo, when I say, oh, I was like, oh, we're going to this, because I was like, I want to see how this lady's living. Like, I want to see some things. And so, yeah, everybody made it. It was me, it was Ava, it was Michigan, Mr. Craig, a few other people that had made it. Chanel was there. I don't think Harvey didn't go. I can't remember. But long story short, there was a few other people. And then there were a few of her friends that were also there. And mind you, I knew that things were only going to get a little crazier because like 2 of those dang, wisdom extractors were there too. Because see, what was happening was she was building 2 boards at the same time. She was going to have the regular board that we have, but she was going to make the next generation board, which was going to be the board with, younger people that were what she called the business professionals. And I'm like, well, what do me and Ava? We just to help, huh? All right, anyway, but I mean, you can't be on the board if you work there, but I get it. And so some of them were there. It wasn't Catalina and anybody else, but it was like these 2 other people that I remember seeing a few times. I'm like, okay. And so, first of all, me and Ava carpooled, right? And we pull up. First of all, it's on a side of town that's not even in my tax bracket at that time. I was like, okay, because like boss lady had some money. And then the thing was, her husband owned like a chain of grocery stores, like international food grocery stores. And so they had like money. And so we pull up, they got this big old house. Like, think of like Home Alone, that big old house they had. They had a house like that. And me and they were like, what the hell? Like, what? How do you, because we knew boss lady was getting paid decently, but she wasn't getting paid enough to afford that, not in this company. So I was like, the husband must make some good money. So we get to the house, beautiful house. I mean, everything, all kind of stuff. But I'm gonna tell you, it was the weirdest thing. Like, she's also into music and stuff. Like, she plays piano, she was a choir director, she does all this stuff. And so she had all these African drums. Of course. Mike, you play? You know how to play? I'm like, so, because there's some African drums in here, I'm supposed to just know how to play. It's just in my blood, huh? I just get up and just start playing. Irritating. And so, yeah, I mean, it was very interesting because I was people watching. Oh, John was there too. And listen, John got him a woman. I said, go on, John. Yes. John had this girl he done brought on, and he finally had him a little boo thing that came, and they were just all over each other. I was like, okay, all right, Mr. John, look at Mr. John pulling somebody. All right. And so, boss lady had made this amazing meal, oddly enough. I mean, this huge spread of just food. You couldn't even name everything that was on the table because there was so much food. I'm like, wow, she must love us today. Like, it was the nicest gesture she had ever done, but it was also weird because we're like, why is she doing this? Like, is she quitting or something? I don't know. But it was very interesting. But then, like, the table started to turn because then the husband came downstairs. And I had never met the husband. The only time I even knew anything of the husband was there was an episode where I talked about boss lady got drunk at the Christmas party and the husband had to come pick her up. That was the only interaction I really had with the husband. And so he and I have never had a conversation. But, what was so interesting was, like, once we were all at the table, because it's like 12 or 13 of us there, and everybody's eating and stuff. Everybody's talking about where they're from and everything, and he starts talking about his experience living in South Korea because a lot of his family was actually across the border in North Korea and what that was like. And the history buff in me was so intrigued because this is my kind of conversation here. So I'm asking question after question after question after question after question, and boss lady's like getting uncomfortable because she doesn't really want to talk about that. And I'm like, oh, okay, she about to kill the mood. And I'm irritated because I'm like, finally, we getting some real versions of Boss Lady. Like, we getting the real scoop now because everything was coming out. Boss Lady had a daughter that she was a little frustrated with because she thought the daughter was going to be this great big musician. And then the daughter decided, I want to just do a whole career shift and I want to be a police officer. And so that was like a whole thing. Like, there was so much going on up in that house. All the family secrets were starting to come out and everything, to the point where Boss Lady started switching languages, nicely telling him to shut up in Korean. I was like, okay, all right, here we go. The true side coming out. All right. Oddly enough, the night ended on a very high note, and it was because Boss Lady had a built-in karaoke machine in her living room. And like her way of getting us to stop talking about all the things she didn't want to talk about, she said, okay, it's time for karaoke. I was like, oh, okay. Because she calls it karaoke. I like how she says it all the time. I used to be like, okay, let's karaoke. But anyway, so she had this whole system set up in there, man. Now, mind you, not everybody was going to participate. Ava's never going to be one to do nobody's karaoke. So she's already like, I ain't doing this. Mr. Craig ain't about to do it. Michigan ain't about to do it. I thought the wisdom extractors was at least going to sign up since they are all free and liberated. And it's all about the mind and the spirit and not the beings and the things of the world. So just step out and live. And we are the energy. Ain't none of that energy was coming out. They weren't trying to sing. But you know who was up there? Me, Mr. John, and Boss Lady. You could not get the three of us to sit down for a minute, because that oddly enough, it was actually a lot of fun. I was like, okay, maybe I can do a few more years of this job. It's like, yeah, I got about another year and a half in me left. That's about it. That should get me to about almost 2015-ish, mid 2015. Yeah, I think that would be a good time to bow out. Little did I know, we was gonna be there until 2022. So there's a whole lot more that goes down, right? And so I'm gonna actually stop it here. It's interesting because there is a really, really huge opportunity that comes for both me and Ava outside of this company. And so we're kind of in a position with, do we take this opportunity or what do we do, right? So there's that. And of course, it's summer camp time again. Summer camp 2014. Yay, so excited. So I will join you guys on the next session to update you about all of the shenanigans that would happen with the 2014 summer camp and the 2014-2015 school year. All right, guys, see you later.